Yes, go with Josh. Amielo. All right. So this video is an introduction to temple farming. Temple farming is the primary certifying class for the greenhouse. What is temple farming? What's the point? Where does it come from? So I first I got the idea of temple farming from a video I was watching years and years ago. And it was a person that was creating temple food, and they had this idea that they called temple cooking. And what what they described was in the process of them preparing this meal that they meditate and put in their heart and mind that anybody that consumes this food gets good health and help and a blessing, right? And over the years of the traditional practices, food is medicine, these things, it made sense to me. Why don't we take that idea from preparation to germination to farming, gardening, composting? We've been able to show now and see now that all of these things respond to your state of mind in separate situations. So I wanted to put all of that into one place and show that, I said food is medicine, all right? The Secret Life of Plants, a fascinating account of the physical, emotional, and spiritual relations between plants and man. Once in a while, you find a book that stuns you, its scope leaves you breathless. This is such a book, all right? And so that's describing the underlying the details that most people aren't exposed to about plants, food, medicine, nature, mother, earth, soil, compost, process, all of those processes. Composting is a study in and of itself. Amazing how Mother Nature can take simple carbons and reorganize them back into complex carbons so that they're healthy again, so that they take things, like ink from newspapers, horrible for you, simple short chain carbon molecules that nature takes and puts back in these really long, really elaborate, sophisticated molecules that make them healthy again. And so my relationship with traditional plants, medicines, nature, food comes from, when I was sun dancing, elder told me to really learn the medicines, you should take care of one like a family member, right? And so when I was younger, I worked on farms all over, and it was normal for the farmers to make their young name an animal, raise it, and then slaughter it so that they understood and had compassion, appreciation, and gratitude for what the animal's providing as a species, right? And so I because of that, it made me pick tobacco, because that's one of our supposed to be our primary medicine, right? And so this plant, I germinated it, had it in a little pot, took it in and out every day, repotted it, kept repotting it until it got into the big pot. And I'd set it out in the sun every day in the shade of this tree, so it got perfect sun, perfect shade. I'd turn it so it never got one side too much or too little. It traveled with me out to Sundance and back, and after Sundance, it grew a bunch, and so we had to transplant it into the garden. And that's what I was doing right here, as I was transplanting it into the garden. And this one, so there's two different breeds of tobacco plant. There's the elephant ear ones, and then the banana leaf ones, and this was a banana leaf one. And we planted the elephant ear ones around it, and this plant somehow absorbed all of their energy and stunted them, so they stayed in these tiny little leaves, and this plant just grew into this big giant tree, right? And then when we harvested it, it at that point literally become a family member, something that I look forward to seeing every day, to caring for. I would rub underneath its leaves, and I swear it would respond. And at this point in my life, I know it was. I've had some unfortunate relationships with some sunflower seed plants that I know All right. And so when I was working with the youth at Youth Build and at the garden, and we're teaching them uh, how to connect with nature. And so what I would do with them is in the garden and the farming that we do is we would go down these things and we would just read them off and go with them together. So each one of these reflections, there's 12 reflections of Mother Earth that are organizing a way to linearize your thoughts when it comes to compost, plant life, plant health, and your relationship with that. And so what I would do with them is I would just go through each reflection and we'd answer them together. All right. So each reflection can be honestly a study of themselves. So for the purpose of the greenhouse, we're looking at basically breaking it up into three days. That would be, 4 to 6 hours, sometimes 7, just depends on how into it people get. Sometimes people are super into it, and sometimes, they're just like, oh, that's interesting. It just depends on how much of a plant person you are, and I am a serious plant person. So again, it's 12 reflections of Mother Earth, and that is going to be our primary class for the gardening within the greenhouse. And we're actually, like I said, we're teaching this in other scenarios right now. We're doing a medicine garden class with the U of M and Elder Blue, Elder June. And so there are other scenarios, gardening scenarios we're doing. We're working with some doulas coming up, some native midwives, and I'm doing a plant garden, a medicine garden installation that would be a training area for midwives and doulas to be able to show the different medicines and that are specifically related to birth in infants and mothers and how to use those. So I said, so reflection floor, plant spirit essence in nutrition and cultural traditions. The living energy of the plant world is refined into its rejuvenating essence. This translates into our immune system, energy, and contentment with ourselves and role in this life. Plants rich in living energy are the foundation to long, healthy lives. Connecting with them revitalizes our core being. Growing, composting, and harvesting create a living relationship where Mother Earth can speak directly to us. How the living energy of plants feeds and revitalizes our body and spirit. How revitalizing encourages spiritual evolution. How revitalizing the body can help overcome emotional trauma. The nature of the essence and its connection to immunity, energy, and happiness. Ceremonies, meditations, and other methods that enhance this revitalization. Herbs and foods that increase our own essence and the immune system. Medicines that support brain and mental functions and our focus. All right, reflection 7, traditional plants and the manifestations of a spiritual relationship. Tradition, health, and well-being are directly related. Traditional ceremonies develop your insight, sensitivity, empathy, and awareness for Mother Earth's sustainability, which in turn provides the conditions for people, communities to heal and develop traditional values. How native tradition is nature, so in turn also is fundamentally ecological. The global value of traditional plants and how it supports evolution of the human condition. How traditional plants can reveal our purpose and journey in our earthly path of evolution. How traditional medicine will scientifically prove its means to be a transformative force in modern society. How traditional plants and ceremonies can develop awareness of Mother Earth and the basis of our connection to her. Reflection 9. How plants are Mother Earth's organizing intelligence. By understanding that traditional medicines have their own intelligence and their function in Mother Earth's aura in the human body, we can enhance our immunity, mental, emotional health. At the same time, we become medically self-empowered to enhance our lives as well as our communities, our body and Mother Earth's ecosystems, and the role plants take in maintaining them. How the spirit of plants heals the spirit of people. How the spirit of plants resolves disease and 5 root causes. How community gardens support healing, spiritual growth, and food security. The primary traditional plants to cultivate individual, family, and community well-being. How to learn from the elements and energies of traditional plants through taste, smell, and sensation. Mother Nature's 5 elements and how to revitalize biological unity through meditation. All right, so one of the classes that I did that this was a part of was with the Minneapolis Watershed Society. And basically what I did, and the reason I was able to get a grant for them to educate on watershed with tradition, is that all of the plants that the Watershed Society uses to filter water and heal water before it gets back into the water table or rivers or lakes are the same plants that we use for traditional medicines, right? Arnica, calendula, cedar, sage, sweetgrass, dandelion, plantain. All of these plants that they use have taproots, and they go down to that mineral layer and they pull up that medicine from Mother Nature, from deep down there, you know. And the reason we use them is the same as nature uses them. Nature uses it for those taproots. It grabs on, it filters the water, it keeps erosion, and it has the same reflective effects in our body. Right, and then we go and we look at how big farming is right now, mass farming. You know, when you look at the recommended daily allowance of like spinach, those numbers are based on plants that were grown and tested 60 plus years ago. Now, to get the same nutritional value, you have to have 60 servings, right? And so the way we're farming, it's just a shell. It's a house of cards. The plants are barely there, you know, and so that goes back to soil health, composting, mineral health, vitamin and mineral densities, and that again goes back to like the studies that they're doing in Russia based on Anastasia and the ringing cedars, you know. So there's nothing new under the sun. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, "We need to have this study and that study." We don't. The studies are there. You know, some of these studies are from the 60s, 50s, 70s, you know, that we just need them organized into one place. And what we're dealing with in like academic situations, all the information in there is tertiary, and none of it has the motivation of bringing this information together. You know, so it's been kind of schizophrenic in how it's organized now, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. And there hasn't been an organizing factor to bring all that into one place. And so that's what we're trying to do at Morningstar Movement with Temple Farming and the greenhouse. And so the contribution is to hopefully bring agronomy back to be community focus, right? Instead of peripheral, it's just something that we get at the grocery store, something, you know, that we get at the dollar store or whatever. This can be our economic source of connection for people, physical, mental, spiritual. You know, let's bring growing food, creating products, crafts, you know, all to that one place, or you know, as much as possible. I mean, we're not gonna all drop what we're doing and go get into this stuff, but we're getting to a place now where food, energy, medicine, you know, again, we were just talking at our sweat lodge the other weekend how some of our relatives aren't able to get the insurance they need for the medicines they need. And I would say, you know, my mom is a good example. She struggles with diabetes and neuropathy, and she has been able to get herself off of all pharmaceutical medicines, right? And her neuropathy, she's getting to a place where she's reversing it, which isn't technically possible, right? And it's all been through traditional plants, medicines, supplements, you know, and that's it. She doesn't do like the ceremonies of the sweat lodges, but she has the gratitude and compassion to know that these things are coming from plants, coming from nature, and that her choice in her health is reflected by how the effort that she puts into it, you know. And so by people not having access to what they've used in the past, you know, we step over dandelion, plantain, nettles, all of these things, all the time to go to the doctor's office, right? And you know, depending on what you read, Anywhere from 30 to 70% of pharmaceuticals is simply just plants put into pill form, right? And so we can take advantage of those things in our own lives. And like I said, just put it back into the nature, compassion, appreciation, understanding that these things are available information-wise, and just put them together in a singular place. So again, I'm starting to babble here, so a little bit on temple farming. I'm going to do another video here on traditional plants and medicines, an introduction to the 4 plants on why, not why they're medicines, they are medicines, but why they're considered medicines on the National Medicinal Plant Registry, and how those correlate into everyday life. We think about plants and medicines, traditional medicines, as just something that's used in ceremony. That's not true. There's a correlative and annotative aspect of each one of these plants that makes sense from the physical to the mental to the spiritual. There's that value in all of them, and I like the quote that says that, from Greg Braden, that all of the sciences, no matter whether it's if it's psychological, physical, biological, none of the sciences are complete until they take into consideration consciousness. And we have that ability to start doing that now, and we have to take it upon ourselves to be the regulators, to create that foundation that is from the people, and grow it from within like that. So again, I appreciate your time, and I'll be back soon. Patrick.